Hi, I'm Rachel Esterline, founder of the Motorcycle Club Romance Book Club and author of Reaper and the Lioness and Damascus and the Wildfire. And I am here with Rita, who is the author of In Case of Emergency, which is a motorcycle club romance novel and the second pick. So this is our second virtual meetup with an author as part of the club, which is free for anyone to join. And the intention of this is to connect indie authors to readers who are really interested in reading this genre. So Rita, thank you for joining me. And I would love to start by just having you tell us a little bit about In Case of Emergency and what the book is about.
Sure. It's a story about Terra and Ice. Terra is the daughter of the vice president of the Hounds of Havoc, Wyoming. And Ice is the nomad who was brought in to help investigate the current president, who has been causing problems and causing a rift in the chapter. And he meets her, and she goes through this traumatic sexual assault, and he's the one who kind of rescues her and gets her out of there. And then the story really takes place after she's graduated from college 4 years later. She's working through her trauma, and her dad shows up on her doorstep wanting to make amends. And after a situation with her very meddling mom, she takes off and a job offer. She ends up back in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, where everything went down 4 years earlier. And it's the story of her trying to overcome her trauma, the relationship between her and her dad, and then the relationship between her and Ice, and then how she handles Choke, the antagonist who caused all the problems to begin with.
Awesome, thank you. So what originally drew you to write motorcycle club romance?
I think the biggest motivator for me were I just enjoyed the genre in general. I love to read the genre, and I just thought that I've always written. I've been writing since I was like 15, 16. So it felt like that's where I was supposed to be, I guess. And then when I fell on the motorcycle romance subgenre, it just felt like I was like inundated with ideas, and that's kind of where it went.
Awesome. So what was the idea that sparked for you to write this book? Like, is there a specific like character or a scene or something that really got you rolling on the journey of writing it?
It was actually the character, Ice's character, came to me before Terra, before all of it, and he said, "I've got this story," and we worked through scenes in my head, and it sounds a little weird, but we worked through the scenes in my head, and then Peaches was like, he was there, and then it became Ice and Terra and Peaches, and it was almost like sitting there interviewing these characters and them telling me their stories. It was pretty cool to work through.
Yeah, that's fun. So, this book has a particularly like graphic scene of sexual assault in it. How did you navigate writing something like that that's very heavy, while, making sure that you're authentic to the story that you wanted to tell?
That was a really hard scene to write. But it really, when I write, and especially when it's a character telling me their story, I tend to just kind of work it like an interview. Mm-hmm. And so I was asking Terra the questions, and she just kind of, that scene was how she told me her story. And I just kind of, I went with that because I felt that was the best way to portray it. But it was really hard. I cried through that scene. My heart broke through that scene for her. And, but I wanted to make sure that it was as true to her and her story as possible, because I almost got rid of that scene and was like, no, we don't need it. But it felt empty without it when I took that scene out. So
Yeah. What kind of reaction have you gotten from readers for it when they've read it?
I've had some people say they almost had to put the book down, but when they powered through that one scene, the rest of it was fine and was good. But and then I've had some people say that it was really nice to see, some people have said that it was really nice to see situations they've been into or been through represented, which was really, that touched me a lot, because that's the biggest thing about reading, is you get to relate to the characters or the story, and to hear that some people enjoyed being able to work through their own things while reading my book. That was really nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. How did you balance the darker themes of the MC life and the traumatic experiences of some of the characters with like the hope and the romance and the emotional safety that Terra gets being with Ice?
I don't know. I didn't think I balanced it very well at all, honestly. But because I think the biggest thing was focusing on, it was Terra and Ice's story, and I wanted to make sure that that's the story that I followed.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't feel, I feel like it could have had more MC stuff in it, and it could have, but it wasn't true to the story. And I'm big on making sure every scene moves the story along. That's been the biggest thing, is everyone's like, it was such a quick read, it was so fast paced, and like, I didn't think that I needed to do too much of the MC stuff, and just kept it to Terra and Ice's story as much as possible, and then just added in what fit. Well, I didn't add it in, I just wrote it as it fit with the
Yeah.
story, so.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite moments from the book?
I actually reread it as a reader for this, and I found some new ones. And my favorite ones were originally, it was the scene where her ex-boyfriend proposes to her at the middle of the grad party, and they're just like, he just completely embarrassed by the situation, and Creed and Ice going, that scene where Creed goes, aren't you supposed to propose to the dad, or aren't you supposed to ask the dad for permission first? And Ice is like, that's the word on the street. That I kick my feet giggling every time I read that scene. But that one, the one where there's a scene where Ice gets nervous, like that Tara's gonna like run in the other direction, like she's not sure she can handle the being around the club, knowing what happened to her, and she promises him she's not gonna run. I loved that scene. And then there was one other one that I just read but I don't want to.
I mean, you can always give a spoiler alert to tell people
Yeah.
mute your.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember it now. I'm drawing a blank. There was one other scene I was thinking of, but
Yeah.
I can't think of it now.
Yeah. What was the most rewarding part for you in crafting the story?
Getting to the end, I think was the big one. Like, oh my gosh, I wrote a book, but I worked through some of my own stuff. I mean, I've never had an experience near as traumatic as Terra had, but kind of being able to work through some of my own mental stuff, and have the bit of the book that has me in there too. Just, I mean, I didn't write it for fame or money or anything like that. I wrote it because I had a story to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, I think, just being able to get to the end and tell and being, and just, yeah, I think it really is just finishing the book and publishing it was my biggest thing with this one. So
yeah. So you have a second book coming up. Does it involve characters we've already met? And is there anything that you can share with us about that yet?
I can, yeah. It'll be out. It's actually going to be, this is new. It's going to be out 4 days earlier than the current release date that's listed. But it'll have some of our favorite characters. Peaches will be in there. Terra and Ice will be part of the story, kind of intertwined in. But this one's about Ink and Hadley. It's a prison pen pal. They meet because she has custody of her 17-year-old brother who is angry. They lost their dad 3 years earlier. And he's just that angry kid grieving, and he gets into a lot of trouble because of it. And he gets wrapped up with he plays baseball, and one of his teammates, his dad is kind of a big rancher in town, and he's kind of a creep. Not kind of, he is a creep. And he ends up pressing charges on when they fight at school, and they press charges. And Brady, her brother, he ends up in this prison boot camp, and he meets Ink. And Ink is just this guy who's his sister was, he considers it murder. She committed suicide due to trauma. And he's just hell-bent on revenge, but he's stuck in prison. He got a 5-year sentence because he got caught trying to go for revenge 5 years earlier. And in order to get released, he got sentenced to 10 years in prison, and he's released early because he does this boot camp. And he's put in the cell. His cellmate is Brady, and they kind of rub off on each other, and they end up writing back and forth. And Hadley ends up writing like a thank you note to Ink, and they kind of connect through letters, and then it's just their story of how that turns into a relationship in real life, and then how he has his MC brothers, and you'll see more of Creed, who I love. And you'll meet Lucky, who owns the club garage, and he is unhinged. But you'll see more of the found family even more.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a little bit of it in case of emergency, but in this one, you'll really see how the MC steps up for Brady and his sister. So,
yeah, awesome. That's really exciting. Now, is this series set in this world? Like, are you planning to go beyond these first 2 books, or are you still deciding?
Yes, I wasn't planning on more than like 3 or 4. There's 12 in my head. Like, I have fleshed out 12 books because they just kept coming. The ideas kept coming, and they're all interconnected. You probably could read them all separately, but things will happen, and like there are some themes that will continue throughout that. But I'm not going beyond 12. 12's in.
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, I know how that feels because Reaper and the Lioness was a standalone, and then I got to the end and I wanted to continue it, so I weaved in Ken American Hatchet more, and then now it's 5 with a secondary spin-off series that is a different club and potentially some more things happening. But I was like, let me just get through these ones first, and then we'll worry about these other ideas.
I have a notebook full of stuff, and I'm like, okay, this one, and I write it. Like, I have one notebook for each book, and I'm just, okay, I've got this idea. I'll write it down, and I'll come back to it when I'm ready, and so I can move on with the book I'm writing, because it's hard. It's when they're all coming out. Tell my story. Can I tell this one, please?
Yeah. So, you're an indie author with a full-time job outside of being an author. So how long does it take for you to write a book, or at least the one that you've written so far? How long did that take, and kind of what was your process like?
It was about 6-ish months, late nights, early mornings, just writing after everybody kind of went to bed or before everybody woke up, because my house gets loud. We've got 6 animals and 2 kids, my husband and me. So it's a lot of that. It's stopping giving myself the breaks and grace to stop and go. But it's taken about 6 months especially with Touch of Ink, that one, the one I'm writing now, or it's written, it's just editing, kind of putting it together. It's about 6 months of writing, and then a month of like developmental, and then another month or so of, well, actually I kind of line edit all the way to the end. So
Yeah.
but and it's just I can't listen to, I know some people make these long playlists and stuff like that. I can't listen to music while I read, while I write, because I tried pop music or whatever music, like rock music, but I sing along.
Mm-hmm.
And then I tried classical and jazz, and I conduct an orchestra. So I'm like, no, we'll keep it quiet in the house and everybody's in bed, and that's when I can write the best. So
Yeah. Awesome. Is there anything that you want readers to know about your books that we haven't talked about?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for doing the interview with me. And I read the book. I was an ARC reader, actually. I remember it now. And I also love the genre and work right in the genre. But, I think it was really, like, from a writer's perspective, like, it's really brave to write about assault and a lot of the heavier themes in the book. But also you were able to turn it in a way that Terra, like, became empowered and you were able to show the character growth. So I thought that was really great. I really enjoyed it. And I'm excited to read the next one.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to release the ARC link's going to be up tomorrow so I can start the signups for that. So
I can include it with the next email that I send out if you'd like.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Cool.
Well, let me pause recording. Oh, there we go. Stop.